Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to Big Ice. Today we have Elly Swartz with us, and Elly is an author from Newton, and she has written the book Dear Student. I haven't read it yet. I love the cover. Who designed your cover? Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. The cover was designed by an amazing team at Random House. Simone Blocker is the artist, and I love it.
It's so cute. Is this middle-aged, middle grade, would you say?
Yeah, upper elementary through middle school. So 3rd and 4th through 8th.
I know I have a little granddaughter who's 10.
Perfect. Absolutely.
I bet she would look. This isn't the first book she's written. But the other ones were, oh, you have it in your bookmark. Where did it go? Right here. You wrote Smart Cookie.
Yes.
Finding Perfect, and Give and Take.
Yes.
When did you start writing?
Oh, Jan, this has been a long, winding road. I start my school presentations by asking kids how long they think it took for me to get from the first time I wrote to the first time they could get my book in the world. The guesses range anywhere from a year to 5 years, and then we do a drum roll, and I told them it took me 15 years to get published.
15 to write your book, or
nope? I had written 5 books in 15 years. I had received hundreds upon hundreds of rejections.
That's why I always say self-publish.
And then I was really, really lucky to Finding Perfect was the 4th book I wrote, or the 5th book I wrote, but the first one to be published.
Yeah,
and
were you a kid when you started getting interested in writing stories?
I loved writing stories since I started writing in 4th grade. My first book was about a cow. I loved it. It was terrible, but I still loved it. I loved writing not because I wanted to be an author. I loved writing because I loved how it made me feel, and that's why I continue to write. I love how it makes me feel. And then when my oldest son, who's now 29, was in 4th grade, he was assigned the book Mick Hart Was Here by Barbara Park, a wonderful book.
Yeah.
And we read it out loud together, and it made me laugh, and it made me cry, and I turned to my family, and I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Who was it, Barbara Cartland, did you say?
No, Barbara Park.
Barbara Park.
I said, I want to write a book that makes kids feel all the feels. And then just 15 years later, that book came out.
So when you left high school, did you go to college and major in literature and English?
Nope. I, also a long, winding road. I was a psychology major, which actually has impacted what I write about. There are mental health themes woven into all of my stories. I had majored in psychology, and then I went into law, and I'm a lawyer, and I practiced law.
What's your specialty?
I did personal injury, product liability, litigation for a short period of time. I realized it was not for me. I taught law school. I wrote law books for many years with my father-in-law and my husband. That was wonderful. And at some point I started writing. And while I was writing, I started a business helping families navigate the college process. And then ultimately my career launched, and I got to spend a lot more time with students and writing.
So right now, are you just concentrating on writing, or do you have your other job on the other side?
I'm just focusing on writing. When a lot of opportunities to travel and see kids and visit schools across the country came in and present, I didn't want to miss those opportunities. As we talked about before, especially now having COVID in the middle, there is nothing more wonderful than being in a room full of 12-year-olds, just whether it's 25 or 600. The energy and honesty and vulnerability that comes from being in person with kids
Yeah,
is something I
that
never.
This is something, you know, a beautiful cover. And she's sitting there. She has a pet guinea pig, because I had one too. She's got her computer out and all the other things, and it looks like a real snake. And some cookies and flowers and a lizard. You know, I sent some of my authors over to senior centers, and they say to me in the beginning, "Why are you doing that?" I say, "Because seniors have children and grandchildren. Bingo.
Thank you.
That's a place." I don't know if your publicist sticks you there, but I always steer them. Go there. I had an author sell 10 of her books in an hour at a senior center. It was her first book out of the gate.
Wow.
They have grandchildren. They're just as important. Tell us in a nutshell what Dear Student is about.
Dear Student is about Autumn, who has social anxiety, a pet guinea pig named Spud, because he looks like a giant baked potato, and she becomes the secret voice of the middle school advice column. And this is a story about her not just finding her voice, but owning it and using it. And really inspired by all the kids that many who I've met who wonder where they fit. Yeah. And in the world that we're living in, anxiety, as the Surgeon General recently published a study, is on the rise. And we all sometimes have those questions. How do we fit? Are we wearing the right thing? Are we acting the right way? Are we saying the right thing? Constantly questioning ourselves. And really, I want those kids to know that their voice matters. I want them to know that they are brave and fearless, just like that bravery isn't just for the kids who are popular, the kids who are confident. It's for everybody.
Did you go through any of this in your childhood or raising your children?
I think for me, I mean, I tap in all of my books. Kids always ask, "Is this you? Are you on these pages?" I think there's a sprinkling of me in all of my books because I'm writing from that place of true authenticity, right? I'm writing from my heart. And if I am, then there are pieces of me that are going to be sprinkled throughout my stories. And I have anxiety, so that's something that I can really relate to, something that Autumn is going through. And the truth is, Jan, I feel like, particularly with re-entry, coming out into the world, I cannot tell you how many adults, in addition to kids, have said to me, "I forgot how to be social."
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's exhausting.
So they're all this all the time.
And so I feel this book is really for everybody.
It's so cute. On the back, they've got everything from little pictures of a spider, a bunny rabbit. Oh, my gosh.
What I love about the cover is it's really a blueprint or scavenger hunt, if you will, for the book.
Yeah.
All of the elements on the cover are in the book. Right down to, those are whoopie pies, and there are even recipes in the back for Fearless Fred's whoopie pies. And allergy-friendly ones, because I have a bunch of allergies, and I want everybody to be included in the
food
whoopie
allergies?
pies.
You have?
I do, yes.
I just had that food allergy test. I couldn't come up with anything. Huh. Well, so I guess I'm drinking lactate-free milk for nothing. Can you handle lactate or gluten?
No.
I guess
I don't have I can't have dairy or gluten, and so in the back of the book there are whoopie pies for everybody, and then whoopie pies for those who can't have dairy or gluten.
Oh, yeah. Oh, delicious peanut butter cream.
Yes.
Does that go on cakes like frosting?
It can, or it can go between two chocolate yummy goodness to make a whoopie pie.
She has some fantastic recipes. Fearless Fred's famous whoopie. Who's Fred?
So Fearless Fred is a concept that you are introduced to in Dear Student. Yeah. Autumn's dad encourages her to seize the day, to find her what their family has called Fearless Fred, named after the most courageous man he knows, his dad. And Fearless Fred is the part in all of us that fear can't boss around.
Yeah.
So we all have that courage tucked in.
Yummy chocolate cakes. Oh, Fearless Fred's famous whoopie pies with peanut butter cream. You're killing me. First time I've seen this, and I'm like, oh, I crave chocolate. I'm not crazy about dark chocolate. I know it's better for you, but boy, I love chocolate.
all the chocolates, they're good.
I know. It's tough to digest sometimes, though. I don't know. I find that I gotta be sort of a little bit more careful about it. So now, how long did it take you to write this wonderful book?
It took probably about 2 years to get it to a place where I sent it to my agent, and then the publisher bought it, and then it took about about another year and a half to work on with my editor, who's amazing. A shout out to Wendy, she's fantastic.
She's doing. Hello, Tanya, too. That's her publicist. This is a cute chapter, Spuds of the World. I wake up thinking about Super Worried and Dear Student. Now, does she have like a Dear Abby type of thing going?
So she is the secret voice of the middle school advice column. So she is, Dear Student is the advice column, and Autumn is the secret voice. Super Worried has written in to Dear Student. And one of the pickles she finds herself in is she ends up giving advice to friends who don't know that she's Dear Student. And some of the advice that she gives puts her squarely in between two of her friends who don't get along to begin with.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know about you, Jan, but I can say that, childhood on up, there have been moments where my friends are not friends.
Yeah.
And that can feel hard, especially when you're in middle school.
Yeah. I see it with girls. Growing up, it just seemed like the guys were a lot easier to get along with. The girls had to seem to have it. Not all of them, not all of my friends, but a lot of them had an agenda.
Yeah, well, there's Logan and Cooper and Autumn, and Autumn is friends with both of them, but Logan doesn't seem to like Cooper so much.
Yeah.
So
she has it set up beautifully. You can't see it, but Dear Student. It's like a Dear Abby type of thing, and the student can write in, and then she can write back to them with an answer. You did a beautiful job of putting them in like this. This must have been a lot of fun.
It was actually great. There are the Dear Student letters, and then there are text messages and some emails, and so there's a lot of different ways that kids are communicating with one another throughout the book. And I really love that about the layout of the book. I think it reads really in a really fun way. And the Dear Student letters are great. I mean, and schools can do this, and there are schools that have advice columns, and it's just a fun, some of the letters that she responds to are fun, like you're stuck on an island, what's your food? What's your one food that you're bringing? And some of them are more complicated, advice on a friend who is kind of not being so nice, or advice on a cosmetic company that's coming into town testing on animals. So
something about myself. I'm scared of hairy caterpillars. Is that from her writing it down?
No, this Scared of Hairy Caterpillars is her teacher.
Okay.
Her teacher has a tell me 5 things about yourself, and one of them is he participates in it as well. He's a great teacher.
I wish there was a book like this for grown-ups. You see Children's Center over at UMass Memorial. I had Child Life on here. They're great. They have like a separate hospital within UMass. And they're there to help the kids get through it if they're going to have surgery and things like that. But I feel that I've always felt that we adults are just big kids deep down. They say our personalities are formed by 6 years old. So anything we take with us as a child can carry through. So I was thinking, how about an adult life program? Really, like a surgery buddy. People get scared. I know I had to get a rep to show me around what to look at before I had my surgery.
Right.
I was really phobic. I wanted to see, just like a kid, show me what I'm going to see, and it helped an awful lot.
Well, the wonderful thing about books, even if they're marketed to kids, adults can read them.
Yep.
Right? Adults can access all and process all those feelings, whether you are an adult or a kid. And it doesn't matter if it's a kid's book. I agree. I read all kids' books.
I head over to the middle school age book sections in different places, and I love it. How can they get a hold of your books?
Easy way, go over to my website at ellyswartz.com, and there are ways to buy all of my books anywhere online. And Also shop your local independent bookstore.
Oh, yeah. Now, are they're at Barnes & Noble, you said?
Yep, they're everywhere books are sold.
Okay, so Tatnuck up in Westboro, people nearby can find it there.
Yep, and if they don't have, if you walk in and you're excited and they don't have the book, you can always ask them to order it. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about independent bookstores. They're a community.
That's what I do. Indie stores, they're everywhere.
They're the best.
And how about, where have you been appearing? Where can they find you when coming up locally?
So one of the best ways to know where I'm headed, again, head over to my website at ellyswartz.com. There is an appearance section that will let them know where I will be next. Okay. And so that's a wonderful way. I update that pretty regularly.
How far out will you go?
I'll go anywhere.
Okay.
I'll go everywhere.
You'll go to New York? You go anywhere? Okay.
I've gone to California, New York, Texas, Chicago, Rhode Island.
Do you get paid to appear?
Yes.
Okay. Some authors start out and they say, well, I'm not going to get paid. I said, not yet. Give it a shot. Stay, then work your way up. You know, get your sea legs.
But I love it. As we were talking about, being with kids, being with educators, there's conferences that I go to and I work with and am just incredibly inspired by teachers. So it's a gift to be able to be in their space and to be able to collaborate and
You're really
work together.
Tune with them. I mean, really, honestly, we're talking with Elly Swartz, and she's the author of Dear Student. And middle school, she said in the inflap, middle school isn't easy for Autumn after her best friend Prisha moves away. Did you find in your schooling where you felt it the most stressful? I remember mine was sophomore in high school. That was a horrible year. Awful. Did you have a bad year?
I think I really loved middle school and high school, I have to say, but it doesn't mean that there weren't difficult times.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times that I was bullied. There were times I walked down the hall and just felt, my skin crawl. And I think when I write about these moments, you tap into that emotional resonance you felt, a long time ago. And all of the emotions in the book, the happy, all the good stuff, and then all the stuff you're working on.
What do your two children think? 2 children, correct?
Yeah, I have 2 boys.
And they're adult, they're millennials.
They are adult, they're 26 and 29, and they are my whole heart.
What did they think of your books?
They like them. I think they're proud.
You know something, I love it, the fact that, some of these, I'm one of those people when I read a book, even when I was a kid, Dear Student, right on the, I loved it to take colored pencils or whatever, make it your own, color it in, take notes.
Yeah, I love, one of the things I always do is the first time I get to hold my book is I take the cover off and I like to see what what the spine and everything, and I love the spine and I love the colors that they use.
Yeah,
so
good.
Yes.
What was Smart Cookie about?
Smart Cookie is about a girl named Frankie whose mom died a long time ago, and she wants to find a family like she had. So she secretly puts a dating profile online to find her dad a wife. It's kind of her, I lost my mom young, like Frankie, and I can sort of relate to her. And this is her way of finding family, and it's her way of learning that family is so much bigger than the people we share a name or childhood with.
Was that your first book?
People.
The first
no, the first one was Finding Perfect.
Now,
and
what was that about?
Finding Perfect is about Molly whose mom leaves the family to take a job far away, and Molly's life kind of spins out of control. So she decides she's going to win the middle school slam poetry competition to get her mom back. Complicating this is that she has undiagnosed OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder. And this is her story about finding herself and accepting all of her and recognizing that nobody is perfect. And in Give and Take, you meet Maggie, whose family takes in foster babies awaiting adoption. She meets this little baby Izzy who she falls in love with, and letting go is hard for Maggie. Her grandmother had dementia and ultimately forgot Maggie, And Maggie is so afraid of being forgotten, she holds on tight to things. Maggie hoards, she has anxiety, and that is one of the manifestations. And so through letting go and saying goodbye to baby Izzy, that's her path, is she has to learn how to let. Sometimes that the most loving thing you can do is to let go.
We're talking again with Elly Swartz, and she is the author of Dear Student. This is her most recent one. There is another one coming up. What's this one coming up?
It's called Hidden Truths, and a fun fact, Hidden Truths was the first book I ever wrote. It has been reimagined many times, and I started writing it in 2001. It will come out in 2023.
So you put it aside all this time?
I put it aside, and then I welcomed it back, and then I put it aside, and then I welcomed it back. It is told in dual points of view between best friends Eric and his friend Danielle, who goes by Danny. And it really asks the question, like, how far you'd go to keep a promise to a friend.
With your background in psychology, you said did you earn your degree in psychology?
I majored in psychology in undergrad.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Boston University for undergrad.
There you go.
And I went to Georgetown Law School for law school.
Okay, so with the I can sense, with your background in the psychology, you've nailed it on a lot of the feelings that these kids have. You really, really have. You didn't self-design.
No, thank God. Nobody wants me to do that. That is not where my talents lie. There is an incredibly talented team at Random House that I am immensely grateful for. Yeah. So, but for me, the mental health piece is so important because, as I said, I travel around, I meet kids all over the country. Kids have mental health challenges. Kids have anxiety. And when I talk to kids and ask them, why didn't you tell anybody? These are some of the answers they gave me. Well, I didn't want other kids to think I was weird. I didn't want them to stop being friends with me. I was embarrassed. That is not okay with me. Right. It is not okay with me that kids feel shame about this. Yeah. And the best thing we can do to break down those stigmas and stereotypes is start normalizing it. Talk about it. It's no different than breaking your arm and getting a cast. Wearing glasses.
Exactly.
Going to the doctor because you have the flu. It's okay not to feel okay, and recognize that you will get to the other side. I don't want kids to feel alone.
Well, and with this mental health thing been getting worse over COVID, especially with the kids who already had a problem with that. People say, well, I don't want to go to a counseling place in my town or nearby. Someone might see me. I'm like, look, you sit there, you know what it is? It's like going to the dentist. Would you really care? You're bringing your mind to talk about something. Would you really mind if you were at the dentist and somebody wants to? What if you know a friend who comes into your counseling place? Right. Would you shun them? No. You'd say, hey, it's different these days. It's not our grandparents' world anymore.
Well, I always, share with students, if you were on the soccer field and wiped out, and your arm was like dangling, and your coach came over, and all the parents came over, and your teammate came over, they would, what can I do to help you? Make sure that you are okay. Right. Those same people want to help you when your hurt is invisible. Yep. But you have to have the courage and the words to share with them that something is wrong. And that is what I really think that's the gift of books. Yep. Because it starts conversations. It gives kids the language that they need to share. Right. And sometimes it gives them the courage and permission and distance to
Elly,
do that.
Did your parents, were they very supportive? Did they promote you a lot in what you wanted to do?
Yeah, my parents were very, very supportive of me always. I mean, I think my mom was my biggest cheerleader.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my father was the tough one. If I struggled and I brought home a B, which was a big deal, he was the type who would keep raising the bar and say, well, let's see you get an A next time. I'm like, after a while, if you hear enough of that, you're like, why bother? That's how it came in. My sophomore year, I was struggling with math. It was college prep math, which I should never have been in. But to get to college, you had to take it, right? So they had to get me a tutor. And I was just so strung out, thinking I'm not going to graduate with my class, this and that. I made it. But that was extremely stressful.
It is stressful. I think the parent impact is really interesting, and that is something I explored in the book. because Autumn's dad leaves the family to take a job in the Peace Corps in Ecuador, and Logan's mom is a women's rights active lawyer, and so she's very busy and doing incredibly important work, but away a lot.
Yeah.
And obviously Autumn's dad is physically away, and all of them, both of them, are doing wonderful things to make a difference in the world. But both of them, there is a consequence that the people that are at home are feeling.
Yeah.
And so that parent impact that you talk about is really felt and very impactful in the story.
We've been having a great time with Elly Swartz, and she wrote Dear Student, and looks like a great book. Tell them one more time how they can get a hold of this book.
So you can go to my website at ellyswartz.com. There's all the information about how you can buy the book, and you can also shop local at your local independent bookstore or shop online. So it is available everywhere.
Are you going to be, where are you going to be again? Locally in this Massachusetts, New England area?
Yeah, all of my appearances are on my website,
Yeah.
on the appearance tab, and keeping track of all of it makes my head spin. So thankfully, there's a calendar there that you can check out and come see me.
And she gave me a bookmark that goes with the book. And what's this little feeler spread? Is that a sticker?
That is a sticker. I put mine on my computer. And so that's the part of each of us that fear can't boss around.
Thanks for being with us. And your new book will be out when?
Well, Dear Student is out, and Hidden Truths will be out sometime in 2023.
Let me know.
I will. Thank you so much, Jan, for having me
You're
on.
welcome.
I really
We'll see
appreciate
you next
it.
time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.